Picture this, Tang Dynasty China. It's this incredible golden age of culture and philosophy, but bubbling just beneath the surface, a kind of spiritual civil war is brewing. Right in the heart of Zen Buddhism, two powerful factions are taking shape, and their rivalry is going to define the path to enlightenment for centuries.
So let's jump straight into the core of this conflict, with a question people still argue about today. Is enlightenment a sudden, aha moment, a flash of lightning? Or is it the slow, patient result of years and years of disciplined, methodical practice? And believe me, this wasn't just some academic debate. This was a battle for the very soul of Zen.
At the center of this clash, you've got two powerful schools, each led by its own charismatic master. And this wasn't a war fought with swords. Nope, this was a war of ideas, a battle to define the one true path to spiritual awakening. In one corner, you have the northern school, and in the other, the southern school.
Okay, this slide really lays out the whole fight. On one side, you have the northern school, led by this brilliant scholar Shen Shu. Their path was gradual practice. Their whole idea was, look, your mind is like a mirror, and it's covered in the dust of worldly thoughts. Your job is to constantly polish it, to wipe that dust away. Makes sense, right? But then you have the southern school, led by a master named Huineng. And his idea was completely radical. He basically asked, but what if the mirror was never dusty to begin with? For his school, enlightenment wasn't about cleaning anything. It was a sudden recognition that your mind is, and always was, perfectly clear.
And oh, this rivalry got personal. Shen Shu's followers would openly mock Huineng, calling him an illiterate southerner. Basically, how could this uneducated guy possibly understand the deep truths of the Dharma? But here's the kicker. Their own master, Shen Shu, secretly admitted that Huineng had what he called a masterless wisdom. He knew that Huineng was the true enlightened successor. He knew something his own students didn't.
So, what was this secret wisdom that Huineng had? Well, Shen Shu was determined to find out. He decided to get an inside look by sending a spy to infiltrate Huineng's monastery and steal his secrets. This spy's name was Zhicheng. He was a clever monk, a sharp guy, and his mission was simple. Pretend you're a real student, listen to everything Huineng teaches, memorize it all, and then report back to your master, Shen Shu.
So Zhicheng gets in, and Huineng asks him, so, tell me about your old teacher's method. The spy lays out the whole northern school playbook. You can see it here. It's all about effort, focusing the mind, watching for thoughts, sitting in disciplined meditation for hours. I mean, that sounds exactly like what you'd expect from Zen, right?
Well, Huineng's response was an absolute bombshell. He told the spy that all this intense effort, this whole idea of focusing the mind on watching stillness, wasn't Zen at all. He called it a sickness. A sickness! In a single sentence, he just completely dismantled the very foundation of his rival's teachings.
So, if traditional meditation is a sickness, what's the cure? Well, Huineng taught that true practice isn't about following external rules or forcing your mind to be still. He said that the core Buddhist principles, precepts, concentration, and wisdom, aren't things you do. They are already built-in states within your own mind. He called it your self-nature.
And this idea is actually pretty simple when you break it down. For Huineng, you don't need to follow precepts because your mind in its original state is without error. You don't need to seek wisdom because your mind is originally without ignorance. And you don't need to force concentration because your mind is naturally without disorder. The entire practice is just to see what's already there.
Now that's a revolutionary idea, but talking about it is one thing. How does it hold up under real pressure? I mean, extreme pressure. Our next story pushes this philosophy to its absolute limit, testing Huineng not in a debate, but in a moment of life and death.
The rivalry had escalated. A northern school supporter literally hired an assassin to murder Huineng. So one night, this assassin creeps into Huineng's room, but Huineng is just waiting there for him. He's not scared, he's completely calm. He simply stretches out his neck, as if to say, go on. The assassin swings his blade 1, 2, 3 times, but it's like he's hitting stone. The blade does absolutely no harm. The assassin is stunned. Terrified, he drops his sword and begs for forgiveness.
Now, Huineng doesn't condemn the guy. Instead, he says these incredible words. He's speaking to a much deeper reality. He saw that the assassin wasn't just some evil person, but was a tool hired for a job. Huineng realized the karmic debt was for the gold the man was paid, not for the man's life itself. And in that moment, he just dissolved the entire conflict.
Get this, the assassin was so moved that he became a monk. But he was still troubled by a deep philosophical puzzle from a famous scripture, the Nirvana Sutra. He went back to Huineng and asked, is our true essence, our Buddha nature, permanent and unchanging, or is it impermanent and subject to change?
Okay, let's unpack this, because Huineng's answer is a masterclass in not taking things literally. The monk says, the scripture says Buddha nature is permanent. But Huineng just flat out contradicts him, saying, no, it's impermanent. And here's why. He explains that if our true nature were a fixed, static thing, then no one could ever change or become enlightened. It's the very ability to transform, its so-called impermanence, that makes the whole path possible. And that potential, that is the true permanent teaching of the Buddha. It's a total mind flip.
So, we've talked about a spy and an assassin. What is the ultimate goal here? What's the point? Both of these stories are pointing to the exact same central idea in Huineng's teaching, the absolute importance of seeing your own true nature. Or, as Zen masters sometimes call it, seeing your original face before your parents were born.
This concept, Zi-Sing, or self-nature, this is everything. It's not something you build or achieve or acquire. It's the inherent, pristine condition of your own mind that has been there all along. The entire path, according to Huineng, is simply about recognizing this, a sudden, clear seeing of what you already are.
And this isn't just some abstract idea. Huineng says a person who has seen their true nature actually lives differently. They move through the world with a kind of freedom and spontaneity. They aren't stuck or rigid. They can respond to any situation that comes up because they're no longer fighting with reality. They still act, but they do it without being all tangled up in the outcome.
And that brings us right back to the final resolution of this whole Zen Civil War. Ultimately, Huineng says it was never really about sudden versus gradual. The truth, the Dharma, is one. It doesn't have a fast version and a slow version. The only difference is in the person. Is their mind sharp enough to see the truth instantly, or is it a bit clouded, which makes the journey just seem longer?
In the end, Huineng's entire teaching points away from any external authority, whether it's a powerful teacher or even sacred texts, and it directs you right back to yourself. So it leaves us with a final provocative question that I'll leave with you. When you search for truth, where are you looking for the answer? In someone else's book, or are you looking for it within the nature of your own mind?